The night my daughter asked why Grandma never hugs her, I thought I'd tucked my daughter into bed for an ordinary night until she looked up at me with those big, sleepy eyes and asked, "Daddy, why doesn't Grandma ever hug me?" I froze. Of all the questions a 7-year-old could ask, that one cut the deepest. I didn't know what to say at first. My mom, her grandma wasn't dead, she wasn't sick, and she wasn't a stranger. She lived just 20 minutes away in the same small town in Ohio. We saw her at birthdays, holidays, and sometimes even for Sunday dinner. But my daughter was right. Mom never hugged her. Not once. She'd smile politely, maybe pat her on the shoulder, but there was always distance. At Christmas, while other grandmothers squeezed their grandkids until they squealed, mine handed over her gifts like a transaction. No warmth, no affection. That night, after my daughter fell asleep, I sat in the dark living room replaying every memory I had of my childhood. I realized something I'd ignored for decades. She never hugged me either. When I was growing up, I told myself that's just how she was, not the emotional type, my dad used to say. But when he passed away 10 years ago, something changed. She became colder, more closed off. I figured grief did that to people. But now, hearing it from my daughter, it wasn't something I could brush aside anymore. I needed to know why. So the next day, I drove to her house alone. No warning. Just parked outside her neat little suburban home, the same one she and dad bought before I was born. She looked surprised to see me, but she let me in. We sat at her kitchen table and I just said it. "Mom, why don't you ever hug my daughter?" She stared at me like I'd slapped her, her lips pressed tight. And then, for the first time in my life, I saw her eyes well up. After a long silence, she said quietly, "Because I don't know how." She told me that when she was a little girl, her mother, my grandmother, had been strict to the point of cruelty. Hugs were for weak people. She grew up believing affection was shameful, that love was shown through discipline and order. When she married my dad, she tried to soften, but old habits stuck. And when dad died, she told me she couldn't bring herself to feel anything. Not grief, not love, nothing. "It's like something in me shut off," she said, "and I don't know how to turn it back on." I sat there stunned. The woman who'd always seemed so unshakable was finally breaking. Then, without saying a word, I stood up, walked around the table, and hugged her. She went stiff. I could feel her trembling. For a second, I thought she'd push me away, but then her arms came up slow and uncertain, and she hugged me back. It wasn't perfect. It was awkward and messy, but it was real. A few weeks later, we visited her again. When we were leaving, my daughter ran up to her and said, "Bye, Grandma." Mom bent down, hesitated, then pulled her into a hug. And this time, she didn't let go right away. That night, my daughter fell asleep smiling, clutching the stuffed bear Grandma had given her. And for the first time in years, I felt like something broken in our family had finally started to heal one hug at a time.